With all the news about Red Dead Redemption getting ported to the PS4, it got me thinking about the issue of Sony's approach to bringing classic PlayStation games to their current hardware. If you're not familiar, Red Dead Redemption 1 was previously a game trapped on the PlayStation 3, which is fully incompatible with the PS4. And now Red Dead Redemption is getting ported to the PS4, not the PS5, for nearly full price with minor visual upgrades and no multiplayer on August 17th. This is a trend that's gone on for most of the PS4 generation, and it's a pretty big middle finger to fans who were into the PlayStation ecosystem for the PS3 generation. This latest port of Red Dead stuck out to me because I own Red Dead Redemption 1 on PS3 digitally, and it's remained on my system all these years since it was the only PlayStation console where it was actually playable. But this new version on the PS4 is arguably a downgraded version from the original, and I would have to buy it again to play it on the PS4. As far as I can tell, the only upgrade is that it's potentially a higher resolution, but with the same 30 FPS lock as it had on PS3. So the improvements in this case would be hardly noticeable on a typical couch TV gaming setup. Basically, since the launch of the PS4, games have been getting ported from the PS3 as remasters, typically with minor graphical upgrades and more often than not, removing the multiplayer modes. Uncharted, God of War 3, The Last of Us, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls, Destroy All Humans 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, and Mass Effect all got ported to PS4 from PS3, and with the exception of The Last of Us, these games had their multiplayer components stripped out on the PS4 version. But The Last of Us later had its multiplayer removed as well when it was ported to the PS5 as Part 1, so the point kind of still stands. And probably the biggest insult of all was the GTA trilogy, which came out shortly after the original ported versions were delisted, and the AI-enhanced abomination that was the definitive trilogy came out for full price. It's just frustrating that they keep doing these ports without acknowledging the fans who purchased these games on the PS3, which is also still up and running, and you could buy many of these games digitally on the PS3 store if you so desired. Meanwhile, on the Xbox store, you can just go and buy the original Red Dead Redemption with 4K at 60 FPS enhancements for a much cheaper price right now because of their backwards compatibility layer. Unfortunately, Sony is the market leader right now, which means that they don't have to make consumer-friendly moves to promote their brand like Xbox does. I also dug up this old support page from the early PS4 days, and it was a thing that the PS3 versions of certain games were upgradable to PS4 for no extra charge, including if you bought a physical copy. However, it looks like this was only supported by about 5 third-party titles, so I just think The Last of Us set a very greedy precedent for Sony and the industry, and we the consumers have been much worse off for it ever since. On the positive side, with the expansion of the PS Plus Premium Classics catalog, Sony's actually been honoring people's existing purchases of PSP and PS1 games from old systems. For example, the new port of Killzone Liberation was showing up as purchased and downloadable on PS4 and 5 for users who bought the game way back in the day on the PSP or the Vita. And I'm pretty sure you could also purchase it on a PS3. So things may be starting to move in a better direction, and hopefully this trend of directly porting old PSN games instead of re-releasing them as remasters becomes the norm and expands into PS2 and PS3 games down the line. Anyways, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this Red Dead port situation in the comments. Do you think if someone bought the game previously, they should get this new version of the game?